Hey, good morning, traders. Like the video if you like it. I appreciate the comments below. If you see something I don't see, be sure and let me know. So basically, the bond fear has settled down here in the markets, and we got through those auctions last week. We still got one more auction this week. Today we do have to get back to my thing here. Today we do have retail sales. Where's economic events? There it is. And I'll turn the earnings off. We do have Bank of America and Citigroup reporting this morning. Um, this is Tuesday. Sort of CPI. Um, okay. No, it's Wednesday. So they moved retail sales to Wednesday. I don't know if I may have messed up yesterday talking about it, but retail sales is Wednesday. CPI is today. Consumer price increases at 8 o'clock. Okay, guys. So on our calendar down here, 5 a.m. We got some industrial production numbers coming out. That's typically out of Europe when it comes out before 8. CPIs at 8. Housing starts are supposedly down, so be prepared for that. Empire State Manufacturing Index, so that's the first major read on manufacturing since the tariff. So we might see uh, uh, a little bit concerned there. Maybe even some talk about orders are on hold. Forward orders, comments about forward orders not being placed. That everybody's in a holding pattern right now. Nobody wants to really put a lot of commit a lot of new capital for new manufacturing stuff. So be very mindful here. Got a 11 o'clock. We got a 4-week bill. No big deal. That's a 5-year bill at 11:30. So we do have a little bit of treasury action happening just today. Um, we do have a treasury buyback announcement preliminary this morning. Uh, okay, gives us some idea here. Uh, some of the stuff happening here on the calendar this morning. Uh, April 15th. There it is. See, retail sales. There it is. I thought there was retail sales. So 10 o'clock today. I wouldn't do anything until 10 o'clock. So heads up on that. So we do have some retail sales numbers hitting the tape at 10 o'clock. So we do have, yeah, I'd just be really careful. There's no reason to trade the markets until after 10 this morning. Heads up on that. As far as where we are here, guys, so we are still below last week's highs, stuck inside the range here. This purple here, this is a major cross, bull bear cross in the markets. Be very mindful of that going forward here. Okay, if you go on the daily, you can see it better. There you go. See this breakdown right here. So we're right into this bull bear cross, trying to decide whether prices should be accepted, that all this inventory is invalid. So the markets are trying to decide whether or not all this inventory, so basically the past uh, 10 months worth of inventory is valid at all. So be very mindful of the markets are trying to decide whether, uh, there is valid value at these prices. So we needed this really bad back test here. So what this actually has done by back testing like we have, this is actually, and if we were to manage to hold up here, this is actually helping build a better base for the markets. So as far as a technical person who watches the markets, if we were to rally here, this is good. This pullback is good. This is building a more strong foundation in the markets for the potential to hold up uh, higher, possibly even go back to the highs. In theory. Uh, so we'll see what happens here. There's a lot of overhead here that we had to get through. So we'll see how it plays out. And uh, we had this big Trump rally off that, and we're still inside that big Trump rally. So we had that big 10, 12% rally in the and we're still right inside of that big short squeeze. Not really seeing a lot of commitment at higher prices above that short squeeze. So be very mindful of that going forward in today's session. Uh, I did mention yesterday about the best trade of the week is probably crushing volatility this week because they were expecting a 300-point uh, move or 200-point move in the markets. So it's a very exceptional move in the markets. Uh, early on in the weeks, typically in that situation, early in the weeks when the IV is really jacked, the first part of the week is better to sell out of the money premium, on both directions, thinking that prices will be pinned the first part of the week. That way it brings this IV premium down. So if you put VX futures up real quick here, uh, and as you can see here, uh, basically we had the Trump news, and we just completely, uh, uh, whenever Trump announced that we were going to have tariffs on everybody, VIX just went to the moon. Okay. Oh, excuse me. Okay. But we had this fair value gap that had never been satisfied on the VX futures. Okay. And so as we have satisfied that fair value gap, and now we're currently trading below that. So be very mindful going forward here that we are trading below that fair value gap now. So this has an edge more to the bulls as volatility is getting smashed. This is just in the past 2 weeks. Okay. So we are below. I showed you yesterday on the monkey bars. We are currently trading outside of the value of last week's value area, and we're actually into the 2 week value area. And the 2 week value area puts down here is the point of control. Okay, down in this area down here. So just remember here, guys, we're bleeding off all of this volatility, and we could very well be down here in the 24, 23 area before the end of the week. So let's be very mindful of that. This scenario could very well be playing out as we go forward here in the markets. Okay. Now going back to ES here, I want to say here, the expected move puts us potentially up in the 5,600 this week, or down here into the 5,200 this week. So be very mindful here. We're trying to decide whether or not uh, traders should actually be pushing prices back in, trying to recover higher here. And we're just seem to be climbing the wall of worry. Okay. So just be very mindful here. This one here actually looking a little bit better than some of the other charts. So I do want to point that out. Another thing that we're fighting here on the ESs, and I do want to point this out, maximize here real quick here on the daily time frame. This right here where that alert is, this right here is our 20 daily SMA, and we're currently trading below that. So that's a little bit more bearish on the markets, the fact that we have not crossed over the 20 SMA. So that's a major crossing point, that 20 SMA. So there's a couple things here. We're trying to build a base. It seems like we're right into the resistance area. The risk reward is still too short the resistance. I mean, unfortunately, that's the way it is. I mean, uh, but just be very mindful here. We the problem is whenever you're not actually at a weekly resistance level, because if we are at 5,600 and we were still under the 20 SMA, that would be a fairly decent short. But we're right at Friday's close, so they've reset the time frame on a weekly basis. So that makes it very dangerous if you're trying to take swing shorts, even in a potential, into the area where you should be actually looking more for the short side. Okay, so just be very mindful of that going forward here. Okay, similar situation here on the NQs. We are actually tagging the 200 or the 20 daily 20 SMA, walking it down here. So be very mindful of that. I did notice something else here on the ESs. Let me show you something here real quick. I got the VWAPs on here on my ESs down here on this chart. You see this purple line right there? That is your weekly uh, VWAP. Okay, and we're walking that weekly VWAP, and we're currently it's right where we're currently trading at. So be very mindful of that. We just seem to be walking that. This is a very important area. How we're using that as support now. So be very mindful. And this is the other daily VWAP. So guys, if you don't have weekly VWAP on your ES charts, you might want to add that to that. And below it, you want to short. Above it, you want to go long. Similar situation here going forward here. Okay. Let's see here. Let's go up here on ESs. Is there anything else up here on ESs I wanted to tell you? Friday close. Okay, we got that. Okay, okay, there we go. So guys, I'm just going to cut short here. Basically, even on ENQs, we're, like I said, we're still trading below the 20 SMA and the purple line right here on the ENQs. Similar situation here on the ENQs. So let's check it out here on ENQs. Forgot to put that, change that out. Similar situation right here. We're that weekly VWAP. We're just right there, basically same charts, ES, NQs. We're right at that weekly VWAP. So be very mindful of that going forward here. We are below that major resistance that's double topped already. So we have to be very mindful of the fact that we've already double topped resistance and failed to break above. But the next support has held. So, getting below yesterday's lows is a short, in my opinion. If we lose yesterday's lows here on NQs, that is a short if that were to play out in today's session. Okay. But we are currently, the good thing about it is we've already come back up into last week's highs. So we got a double top into last week's highs. So that's the bullish case. So be very mindful of that. Double topping into last week's highs. A move above that is very bullish, and we'd be breaking above a major resistance area. So that's a couple little takeaways that I did want to point out here as we go into today's session. Okay, but you guys might really add that weekly VWAP. I mean, I think that's a really critical thing you might want to be watching here going forward this week. We can put ready on here real quick. And go down here as ready. And similar situation, we're walking that weekly VWAP. Still below major resistance here on that. Still below last week's highs. Just a few little takeaways that I got going on here. So just a few things. Still below the 20 SMA on the daily. So basically all the charts are looking the same. So just be very careful. On the daily time frame, we are today getting a potential cross on our MACD, on the Russell. So that's been our lagging area, and we are getting a potential MACD cross. That could be a little bit more of a bullish signal in the markets. I forgot to look on the other ones. NQ leading. So we've already got the cross. So yeah, yesterday we got the cross on the NQs. We are still into the 20 SMA acting as resistance. So we really don't want to do anything until we break above yesterday's highs. See those yesterday's highs? We really don't want to be taking long positions until we break out above those yesterday's highs here on the NQs. So be very mindful. The 20 SMA is acting as solid resistance, and we want to be mindful. I'm sorry about the cat here. He wants his treats this morning. He wants to go out at night, and drive me nuts this time in the morning. It's 4 o'clock in the morning. And unfortunately, we got neighbors' dogs, and it's not good for having a cat out this time in the morning. Sorry about the noise of the cat, though. He's settled down now. I had the treats right next to me, and he was having a fit. So, bottom line is, guys, let's just wait for the setups. Right now, like I said, this yellow area here, like in Qs, that's holding us support. So you have to have an edge. Bias yourself that we're going to be attempting a breakout. So be very mindful here. Don't do anything until after 10 o'clock. Let's see how this data impacts prices today. That could be enough to break us out. We don't know. So let's be very mindful of that data today at 10 o'clock. Okay. We do have some semiconductors dropping their number. I don't know if ASML's reported yet or not. That's the first semiconductor to report, and that is 16th at so tomorrow morning. Tomorrow morning, ASML reports. So that's going to be our first major indicator on the markets. That could be what breaks the markets out. So breaks the markets higher, ASML to the upside. That's a European semiconductor company. Okay, and then after that, later this week, we have Taiwan Semiconductors, TSM, very high multiples on TSM. But that's another one we have to be mindful that's coming out this week, and that's 17th. That's Thursday. Yeah, so it'd be uh, uh, yeah, Thursday morning. Thursday morning that'll be coming out. TSM. So those are the two big earnings later this week hitting the tape. So let's be very mindful of that going forward here. But we are above our central pivot ranges on all the indices this morning. So that in itself gives us an edge to the buy side. So if we come back down into our central pivot range, that is probably by the dip, potential by the dip if it's not news driven. So let's just definitely keep that in the back of our minds. Okay, guys. Okay. Thanks a lot, and we'll see what happens here going forward.